Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6 at noon.
Now at noon, Winter Garden City leaders are looking to regulate e-bikes, what the proposed rules could mean for young riders. Plus, the Central Florida Expressway Authority just approved a widening project on the 408 that could make your drive a little easier. But first, all lanes are back open near the mall at Millenia after an early morning crash sent 2 people to the hospital. The crash happened on Millennial Boulevard right near the mall there. The Orlando Fire Department says 1 woman is in critical condition at the hospital. Fire officials say a man was also sent to the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. OFD says the case has been sent to Orlando police, but OPD has not released any additional details about what may have caused this crash. Happening today, one local city is set to consider some of the strictest rules we've seen yet when it comes to e-bikes. A lot of local governments have been trying to figure out how to regulate the bikes after a rise in crashes. This time, though, it could include an all-out ban for some young riders. News 6's Mark Lehman is in Winter Garden, where supporters say this is all about keeping people safe.
This ordinance is being proposed as there's been an increase in e-bike usage, especially along the West Orange Trail. The city says there's been a rise in dangerous situations and that this will improve safety.
I come down here once a month to do a 50-mile bike ride.
On any given day in Winter Garden, there's no shortage of cyclists. But the city says electronic bikes, which Alan Schultz uses, are becoming a problem.
It can be dangerous if you're going too fast on these bikes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you get into an accident, you could hurt someone or kill yourself, too.
Now, in an effort to improve safety, Winter Garden commissioners are voting on an e-bike ordinance. It calls for no one under 15 to be able to operate an e-bike and restricts e-bike usage on the West Orange Trail. Fines would be set at $100.
What kind of situations have you seen on the trail?
Mostly speed, mostly just way too fast on the trail because it's not only for experienced bikers.
The proposal comes as cities and counties across Central Florida have been navigating the regulation landscape. It's been in response to a rise in crashes involving e-bikes. Some have been with serious injuries. Those we spoke with in Winter Garden seem open to the idea of age limits and stricter rules if it makes things safer for everyone.
There will likely be a lot of discussion on the ordinance when commissioners take up the issue during their meeting Thursday night at 6:30. If passed, there will be a second reading on January 8th. In Winter Garden, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Time now to get a check of your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. And Candace, I was outside earlier, some blue sky, really beautiful.
Nice.
I know a cold front's coming through, but it's coming through with very little fanfare.
That's right. It's pretty much cleared at this point in time, so you can see how much more sunshine we have compared to the last couple of days. Right now, there are some folks out there enjoying the sun. We had high tide just a little bit a while ago, so now the waters will recede just a little bit, giving some of those beachgoers a little more beach to enjoy. 62 degrees right now. That breeze out of the northwest right now. Steady at about 10, gusting at times up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. But like Julie mentioned, there goes that cold front. It's on its way out. We're going to start tapping into some cooler air for today, which is why it will be the coldest afternoon of the week. Highs right now are still in those 60s. We're only at 62 in Ocala, 63 in DeLand, 65 in Kissimmee, 67 there in Melbourne. And our temperatures today are going to struggle to reach those low 70s. Looking at the water vapor imagery, this cold front, although it didn't bring a lot of moisture or cloud cover with it, it is bringing in so much drier air. You can see that pocket of dry air that will continue to settle in for the next couple of days. Now, while that's great news as everyone's trying to kind of get their stuff done, heading to, whether it's lunch outside or maybe some weekend festivities for the holidays, we are still in need of some rain. Even after Sunday's rain, the latest drought monitor still showing that a big portion of our western zones still under a moderate drought at this point, or I should say abnormally dry. No moderate droughts for us locally here, at least for now. We'll have more details, though, on the approach of another cold front that will arrive this weekend coming up in just a couple minutes.
Candace, thank you. And because of these dry conditions, local and state officials say they are conducting a controlled burn today. The Florida Forest Service says it will be a 1,000-acre burn in Lake County. Seminole County officials say you may smell and see smoke in the northwestern part of the county. The fire will be in the Seminole State Forest off Hannah Drive and around Sulphur Run. New at noon, we now have the 911 calls made soon after a small plane crashed onto I-95 in Brevard County Monday.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
I-95, a plane just came down.
The what did?
A plane just, an N95KC plane. It just landed on I-95.
The crash happened in the southbound lane south of King Street near Cocoa. FHP says the plane did hit a Toyota Camry. The driver of that Camry was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. The pilot was not hurt. The FAA says the crash was due to engine issues. It often feels like no matter what route you take, it is bumper to bumper during rush hour in Orlando. But there is one spot that is always a traffic headache on the 408 between Orange Blossom Trail and I-4. As News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez reports, it is so bad the Central Florida Expressway Authority approved hundreds of millions of dollars to improve it.
It would cost the Central Florida Expressway Authority $218 million to add a lane to that stretch of the 408 and make some safety improvements. But people I spoke to say it's worth the money.
I spend about 15, 20 minutes a day in that section alone, just waiting to get past.
Like many others, Le'Veon Parkins regularly drives on the 408 and is used to being stuck between Orange Blossom Trail and I-4. To relieve congestion, the Central Florida Expressway is set to approve adding another eastbound lane to this stretch of the 408. Improving interchanges and on and off ramps is also part of the plan that has a pretty hefty price tag. $218,711,886 to be exact.
Well, in particular, especially in downtown area, we do need another lane because it's always congested no matter what time of the day it is, especially during rush hours. So it's room for it to be another lane.
We stopped by Royal Auto Repair on OBT right off of the 408. The co-owner wants to see better infrastructure as soon as possible.
I drive around this area all the time. It's a lot. Yes. So if there is anything coming to add more lanes or anything, it would be great. I really appreciate it.
It would help his commute to work and improve the customer experience.
Sometimes it's a nightmare for us here. And what we need to do is add in more lanes.
This isn't the only project on the board's radar. They're also talking again about the Southport Connector project, which would connect Poinciana Parkway to the Turnpike over in Osceola County. Reporting in Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Nearly 3 years after a deadly shooting spree in Pine Hills, a new bill has been filed to try to improve safety for children across the state. It's called the Yaya Alert. That's the nickname for Tiana Major. The 9-year-old was killed in February of 2023 after investigators say a gunman on the run from a previous deadly shooting went inside her home. Spectrum News reporter Dylan Lyons was also killed nearby. The bill would establish mandatory protocols requiring law enforcement to notify schools, child care facilities, and communities when an imminent threat has been identified nearby and safety has not yet been secured. It is set to come up during the legislative session, which gets underway next month. Reaction is pouring in after President Trump announced the seizure of a Venezuelan oil tanker off the country's coast. It is the latest step in a pressure campaign on Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, and signals an effort to go after one of the nation's largest revenue sources. CBS's Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
The Trump administration released dramatic video of members of an elite U.S. Coast Guard unit rappelling from a helicopter to board and seize an oil tanker just after it left a Venezuelan port Wednesday.
It was seized for a very good reason.
The Justice Department alleged the tanker was used to transport sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran, saying for years it's been sanctioned due to involvement in an illicit oil shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations.
What happens to the oil on this ship? Well, we keep it, I guess.
This seizure marks an escalation in a pressure campaign against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's regime. Tensions remain heightened over the U.S. military buildup off the coast of Venezuela and more than 20 strikes on alleged drug boats.
Regime change, even though Maduro's a bad guy, I'd like to see him go. But us trying to force it is never been successful U.S. policy.
The Trump administration, which has accused Maduro of narco-terrorism, does not view his leadership as legitimate, and President Trump has said he believes Maduro's days as president are numbered.
We are not involved at all.
Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, spoke in Norway one day after a ceremony to award her the Nobel Peace Prize.
I believe that President Trump's actions have been decisive to reach the point where we are right now. In which the regime is weaker than ever.
Venezuela's government, in a statement, called the oil tanker seizure a, quote, shameless robbery, accusing the U.S. of trying to go after its oil. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Local businesses are having to choose between going bankrupt or settling a lawsuit. Coming up, why they say they're being sued and didn't even know they were breaking the law. Here's a live look for you from our Mount Dora camera on this Thursday afternoon. You're watching News 6 at noon. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
Settle or go bankrupt. Some local businesses told us those are their only options after they got hit with lawsuits for violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. But as News 6 investigator Erica Bergoglio found out, many businesses didn't know they were breaking the law.
That's what the magic of owning a business. You do everything.
And that magic has been a dream for Emily and Michael Colon. The couple owns the Taco Shack in New Smyrna Beach. But recently, that dream has been muddled with lawsuits. In 2019, the Colones got sued claiming the Taco Shack violated a list of ADA requirements. So they hired an engineering firm to help fix it. And this year, it happened again. The same woman, Tavia Wagner, sued them, claiming more ADA violations. News 6 uncovered a woman with the same name has filed more than 300 lawsuits against businesses across Florida. Many of those lawsuits appear to be ADA related.
I didn't know anything was wrong with the handicap parking lot. No one ever complained about it. No one ever said anything about it. I didn't know.
Ruth Ann Fike settled with Wagner last December. She owns Ruthie's Cozy Kitchen in New Smyrna Beach.
And we are very familiar with, the frequent filers of ADA lawsuits.
Michelle Uzetta is the executive director of the Disability Rights, Education, and Defense Fund.
These frequent filers, the people who targeted hundreds of businesses and lawsuits, do you think they kind of tarnish what the ADA is trying to do?
I'd suggest that instead of looking at the people who are filing the lawsuits, which are, 95% of the time challenging actual violations of building standards, ADA standards, local standards, that we focus on why after 35 years, businesses are still not compliant.
Wagner's attorney did not respond to News 6's calls and emails for comment. In New Smyrna Beach, Erica Bergoglio, News 6.
It is 12:15, so let's get you back to a check of your forecast, starting with this gorgeous shot. So much blue sky there in Brevard County on our Launch Credit Union camera. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos is standing by. And Candace, we have been seeing some cooler temperatures the last few days.
Yeah, and most of it was just because we didn't have any sunshine. We had so much cloud cover really to start off the work week, but today's the day the sunshine really makes a big comeback, and we are going to continue to stay on the cooler side of things. We had a cold front that came through early this morning. Most folks didn't even notice it unless you were looking at a weather map. But as that front moved through, it is ushering in another nice little cool snap for us. It's not going to be very long lasting. We'll be back into the 70s by tomorrow and mid 70s for your weekend. Not a big time warm up, but back to near normal before another cold front does pretty much the same thing it did this morning, ushering in another little stretch of 60-degree weather. Now, temperatures out the door right now, we are all in those 60s at this point in time. And don't forget, you can always track your temperatures as well as any little rain that we might see. But at this point in time, there's not a whole lot of rain to talk about. We're at 62 right now in Daytona Beach. Same throughout Leesburg, areas in and around Claremont, 63 in Sanford. Right now in Cocoa Beach, you're sitting at 65. But now let's check on that hour-by-hour forecast for today.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
Just a really nice day. Again, tons of sunshine. If you didn't like the gloomy days we've had, you're really going to like today. So maybe take lunch outside or maybe have dinner outside. Take a longer walk. Whatever the case may be, enjoy this nice cool change as that nice milder weather will stick around through tomorrow. Now, tomorrow morning, well, that's going to be the coldest point of the week. It's always normally like the second night after a cold front comes through where the temperatures are at their lowest. And it could be down into those 30s in areas in around Marion County, far western Sumter County, northern Lake County. Will certainly have an opportunity to get into those 30s. Even Palm Coast could get pretty close. Now, the rest of Central Florida, as you can see here, will be in those mid-40s along the I-4 corridor, low 50s along the coastline. So again, that cold front went through Central Florida early this morning, and notice not a cloud in sight over the next couple of days. And then we have a big old ridge of high pressure, and that's going to sit over Central Florida tomorrow, keeping things dry, keeping things very sunny. But then as it pushes out towards the Atlantic, we'll start seeing the return flow off the ocean, and that will start that warming trend. Now, as we head into the weekend with those warmer temperatures back into those mid-70s, we are going to stay mostly dry. I think that most of the moisture and rain we will stay south of Lake Okeechobee. But then here comes that next cold front. By about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it will be moving overhead. Not a whole lot of rain. Going to hold that chance of only about 10% on Sunday, but that's going to be bringing in a little dip in those temperatures. So for today, 60s, tomorrow, low 70s, still below that average of 75. We're running near normal and then dipping again early next week. After this little cooling trend early next week, temperatures are going to start climbing. And unfortunately, if you're hoping for a chilly Christmas, it doesn't look likely, as almost the entire central and southern half of the country will be seeing some sort of above normal temperatures, especially as we kind of gear up to that week of Christmas and into the 25th. Here in Central Florida, we could be slightly above average. As of right now, some of the long range models forecasting us about 5 to 8 degrees warmer than average would put us kind of in those low 80s. So we're gonna have to wait and see and really kind of fine tune that forecast. But as of right now, it doesn't look like there's any promising sights for a chilly Christmas, at least for us here in Central Florida.
Candace, thank you. Property tax plans are continuing to make their way through the legislature. Coming up, we'll tell you which Floridians could be affected. And coming up on News 6 tonight.
Maddie at one point was the sickest kid with liver disease in the country. With a 0% chance of survival, she was taken off the transplant list.
A Central Florida family is pushing for health care reform. The couple is suing a local hospital and medical professionals, claiming they failed to react in a timely fashion to test results that show their newborn daughter had a rare liver disease. A big property tax proposal is ready to make its way to the Florida House in 2026. A committee approved it yesterday. It would increase the homestead property tax exemption for those with property insurance. The proposal would apply to home values between $25,000 and $250,000. But critics point out it would cut local government revenue by $8.6 billion. The bill's sponsor, Demi Busada, says those governments need to prioritize how they spend taxpayer money.
This House Joint Resolution will go to the ballot and the voters will decide next November. I do put my faith and trust in the voters that they can make a decision of how they want their property taxes to be assessed.
If approved, 60% of voters would be needed to push it through in November. Scientists say they're finding new benefits to free and subsidized school lunches. According to research from the University of Ottawa, those benefits include higher scores in math and better school enrollment. Researchers also say these meals can contribute to small gains in height and weight for children. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Time. Hey, there's still time to become a billionaire by Christmas.
More.
There's still hope. The Powerball jackpot is growing yet again. Nobody won last night's drawing, bringing the total grand prize to $1 billion with a cash value of just over $460 million. Now, it won't quite crack the top 10 lottery prizes ever won if you're concerned about that, but it would still bring home a nice chunk right before Christmas. You can watch the next drawing right here during News 6 at 11 on Saturday. I mean, I could deal without being in the top 10.
Not top 10 is chump change. All right, let's talk about the weather forecast. Listen, it's going to be feeling really nice today. Highs back into those 60s, lows tonight down into those 30s and 40s, Jules. But then as we head into the weekend, though, we'll start to warm up just a little bit as we go through Saturday, Sunday. Another front comes through Sunday night. Cooling is down again. And then after that nice little cool stretch there early next week, temperatures will be ramping up for Christmas.
Okay, thanks, Candace. Thank you for joining us this noon. Our next newscast is at 4. You can always check clickorlando.com for any updates. Have a great day. We'll see you in the morning.